My name is Zany Janie, and I am adopted. This is my story. A quick disclaimer, I am choosing to use photograph here instead of video as I need to read what I've written and my glasses reflect everything. I will also not be using any names in this story, as the knowledge of names has no real use for what I'm trying to say here. It's not very often that I bring my personal life to my channel, but I feel this is one topic that needs to be covered. I did a search here on YouTube about meeting birth family, and almost all of them seem to cover happy reunions. The reunion I had was a happy one, but one that has left me with feelings of regret at the same time. After a Google search, I had found others with regrets, but they're normally stemming from the parents did drugs, they were put into foster by Child Protective Services for abuse. Some people just flat out not wanting to have kids, to name a few. My birth mother is a very nice woman, and I'd like to emphasize that my regret has nothing to do with who she is. Growing up, I would pitch complete fits. I'd tell my parents they weren't my real parents, always thinking the grass was greener on the other side of the fence. I was honestly a real pill to deal with. For some reason, I couldn't emotionally cope with the knowledge of adoption, even though I was thankful that the knowledge was there, my whole life instead of never being told about it. I wanted to know why I was given up and could not move past that. My big sister and I, she also being adopted, we had many long conversations about whether or not we wanted to meet our biological families. I never understood why she has never had that curiosity. When I was 18 years old, I was finally able to meet my birth mother, what would be my stepfather, and one of my half-brothers. The reunion really was quite nice, and at the time, I was over the moon. It turned out that I look a lot like my mother, especially in the face. I was told about also having a half-sister and another half-brother who were unable to afford to leave to fly to meet me. I spent a good 10 years to sit on the reunion we had, as they only flew to see me that one time. I had some letters back and forth with my birth mother, but for some reason it still wasn't enough, even though I had gotten the knowledge I was after already. It turns out that I was given up because she was only 17 when she had me and couldn't possibly afford a good life for me. She did what was best for me, and I truly respect that. However, it is difficult to live knowing that you were a mistake to begin with. When I was around 27, I moved to their state to get to know all of my birth family. I met all of my siblings, and I also got to meet my birth father, who lived in another state by then. And I found out a lot living there. I found out that my birth mother was also adopted, her and her biological sister, which, it really is a bummer to me. I always wanted to dive into family history, maybe create a family tree, figure out where exactly I stem from. I found out that their adoptive mother didn't seem to take to me very well. She always took my siblings out one by one every few months, but she only took me out once. I'm not holding any grudges against her about that, though. She had just met me, and I was a stranger to her. I found out that all the women in my family are more on the heavy-set side. My mom even works in a candy store, which this knowledge helped me to want to watch my diet even further. It also turns out that my whole birth family loves video games as well. Can that even be a biological thing? When I met my birth father, I also met his mother, now passed on, and who I also look a lot like, who told me that had they known about me before being given up for adoption, that they would have raised me themselves. In all honesty, I'm rather glad they didn't know. My birth father had been in the services, didn't seem to do much after that. He did some DJing, sent me a lot of CDs of music he thought I would like. Some of the songs were okay, the others I rolled my eyes at. Not that I ever told him. I lost interest in wanting to know him when he had come into town to visit for a week, and I maybe saw him for 12 hours total. He spent all of his time with his friend, and before he left, told me about how much fun he had getting drunk and roller skating in his friend's attic. That part still makes no sense to me, but I'm satisfied with just the knowledge of who he is. My half siblings are all wonderful people, as is my birth mother and stepfather. I'm really glad I got to meet them. Here, though, is where my issue comes into play. I was adopted into a large family. I have three uncles and an aunt who all have children, who have their own children. Even my sister has some kids. I'm also married into a large family as well. So many people on my plate. My regrets usually come into play mostly during the holidays, but there's a bit more. I don't live near my birth family any longer, and the only time they contact me, hardly ever, is on Facebook, sometimes a text. So, holidays. Okay. This normally really starts to hit hard during Thanksgiving. While I was living near them, I would feel it was important to add a dish to the family table, which is where I really started back at making the applesauce again. Yeah, the same applesauce you all saw me make here on my channel. It was well accepted, and I ended up having to leave some at home if my husband and I wanted any at all. Now that we're moved closer to his family, the tables have turned on that. Nobody seems to touch the applesauce, and we come home with a relatively full bowl. So now, I only make enough for the two of us, but his family's not why I'm here. While it's cool that I'm on my birth family's Christmas list, it's difficult to afford the holidays as it is being in two large families already. I spent a lot of years attempting to cover the gifts and shipping, trying to keep up with so many people, it breaks the mind. I have as many knowledges as I could gather from getting to know my birth family, but I feel regret. I feel like pulling away from all of it, which perhaps could be my social phobia coming into play. I hardly hear from them until Christmas rolls in. They put everyone's names into a drawing, and we all draw someone to shop for. Is it wrong of me to feel that it's too much anymore? I mean, she gave me up. Even though I came from her, I still don't feel I'm a part of that family. At all. No matter how hard I tried. At this point in my life, I wouldn't trade my adoptive family for anything in the whole entire world. I am glad to be adopted. I like having the knowledge that there are struggles for everyone, no matter what side of the fence you end up on. But my heart and my thoughts, I feel regret because I feel that I would be happier with just having the wonder of who they are. To let myself come up with possible stories of who they are and not have all this knowledge would have been perhaps a better choice. Part of me hates myself for wanting to know so badly that I just couldn't stand it. Why did I just have to know? Why did I have to poke and prod at it? What can I do? I wanted to share my story with you all because, as briefly stated before, I didn't see much on YouTube about regretting getting to know your birth family. To those of you out there in the same shoes, you are not alone. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed day.